In an evolving geopolitical landscape, the question of how to secure Ukraine's future against potential Russian aggression remains a pressing concern for both European leaders and American policymakers. As discussions about ending the ongoing conflict intensify, the prospect of deploying European troops to maintain peace and deter future invasions is gaining traction. However, the logistics and implications of such a move are far from straightforward as experts and officials weigh the risks and benefits. The backdrop to these discussions includes President Trump's recent assertions to conclude the conflict in Ukraine, a promise that raises questions about the feasibility of his approach. While Trump appears to advocate for negotiations, key players like President Vladimir Putin remain entrenched in their beliefs about the conflict's dynamics, asserting that Russia is making significant gains. Observers suggest that any potential ceasefire agreement might shift the responsibility of ensuring stability in Ukraine onto European nations, thereby reducing America's direct involvement. A critical aspect of this debate is the deployment of boots on the ground. European nations, particularly those in the Baltics and major powers like France and Britain, have begun contemplating the inclusion of their troops in a peacekeeping mission. Yet the scale and readiness of such a force pose significant concerns. Analysts indicate that an effective deterrent force could require upwards of 150,000 troops, along with robust American support in terms of air cover intelligence and missile defense capabilities. Without this support, European forces may find themselves vulnerable to Russian provocations. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed a willingness to engage in serious peace negotiations, contingent on receiving solid security guarantees from his allies. He has previously suggested the presence of foreign troops in Ukraine, but the feasibility of deploying as many as 200,000 foreign soldiers is met with skepticism, as this number far exceeds the total troop capacities of many European nations. A senior European official pointed out that Europe lacks the necessary troop strength and resources to commit to such an expansive mission independently. The concept of deploying European troops is fraught with complications. Military experts argue that without a clear and substantial American commitment, any European-led force could be viewed as insufficient and may even embolden Russian aggression. Claudia Major, a defense analyst at the German Institute for International and Security Affairs, warns against a bluff-and-pray strategy where inadequate troop levels might invite Russian testing of NATO's resolve. Poland, a frontline state with vested interests in Ukraine's security, has been particularly cautious. Polish officials are wary of committing to any peacekeeping force without explicit U.S. backing, illustrating the broader European sentiment that American involvement remains crucial in any security framework for Ukraine. The complexities of the conflict extend beyond military considerations into the realm of diplomatic negotiations. Putin's stated objectives include curtailing NATO's eastward expansion and reinstating a buffer zone that favors Russian influence. Consequently, any proposed deployment of NATO or NATO-aligned forces to Ukraine could be met with fierce opposition from Moscow, further complicating the situation. As discussions unfold, experts highlight the possibility of a porcupine strategy, which involves equipping the Ukrainian military with the necessary resources and training to deter future aggression. This approach would require a long-term commitment from Western allies to ensure Ukraine has the capabilities to defend itself post-conflict. The Munich Security Conference, a pivotal event in the diplomatic calendar, will likely serve as a platform for these discussions, with U.S. officials and European leaders exploring various security arrangements. As the situation develops, the international community watches closely to see how the balance of power will shift in the wake of potential negotiations and troop deployments. In conclusion, the path to securing Ukraine's future is laden with challenges and uncertainties. While the dialogue around European troop deployments signals a proactive approach to deterrence, the success of such measures hinges on transatlantic cooperation and a clear commitment from the United States. The coming weeks and months will undoubtedly shape the strategic landscape, influencing not only Ukraine's security but also the broader dynamics of European defense and NATO's role in the region. In a bold move that has sparked considerable debate within the scientific community and beyond. The National Institutes of Health (NIH) under former President Donald Trump is challenging the foundational model that has long underpinned America's status as a leader in global scientific innovation. This shift comes at a time when the U.S. is facing increasing competition from countries like China, which have rapidly expanded their research capabilities and investments in science and technology. The NIH's recent initiatives are being scrutinized for their potential to disrupt the traditional peer review process, which has been a cornerstone of scientific credibility and advancement in the U.S. We are moving towards a more flexible approach to research funding that prioritizes results over conventional methodologies, an unnamed source within the NIH stated. This approach has raised concerns among researchers who fear that it may compromise the integrity of scientific inquiry. Critics argue that by undermining established protocols, the Trump administration's NIH could diminish the quality and reliability of research outputs. The peer review process is essential for validating scientific findings, remarked Dr. Emily Klein, a prominent researcher in biomedical sciences. Without it, we risk producing work that lacks rigor and could lead to public health consequences. Moreover, this shift in policy could have long-term implications for the U.S.'s ability to attract and retain top talent in scientific fields. With many researchers looking to international opportunities, the perception of the U.S. as a bastion of scientific inquiry could be at risk. Data from the National Science Foundation indicates that the number of international students pursuing advanced degrees in STEM fields in the U.S. has already seen a decline in recent years, a trend that could accelerate if trust in American scientific institutions wanes. In the context of these developments, the upcoming visit by U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper to NATO allies is particularly significant. This marks the first visit by a member of the Trump administration to European allies amid growing concerns over defense strategies and international cooperation in scientific research. As nations look to bolster their defense capabilities, collaboration on scientific advancements in technology and health becomes increasingly vital. This visit is a crucial opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to shared security challenges and to explore collaborative research initiatives, Esper noted in a recent statement. As the debate continues, the scientific community is left grappling with the ramifications of these policy changes. The potential for a paradigm shift in how research is funded and conducted could redefine the landscape of U.S. scientific leadership. Observers are keenly watching how these developments will unfold and what they will mean for the future of research and innovation in America. With the landscape of global science rapidly evolving, the challenges posed by this new direction from the NIH underscore the need for a balanced approach that safeguards the integrity of research while fostering innovation. The coming months will be critical as stakeholders from various sectors come together to navigate these changes and their implications for the future of scientific inquiry in the United States. In a significant move that could reshape corporate governance, activist investor Elliott Management has acquired a stake exceeding $2.5 billion in Phillips 66, a major player in the energy sector. This investment marks a pivotal moment for both the company and the broader market, as Elliott is known for its aggressive strategies aimed at enhancing shareholder value. The acquisition is poised to intensify scrutiny on Phillips 66, particularly regarding its operational strategies and financial performance. Elliott Management, led by founder Paul Singer, has a history of targeting underperforming companies, pushing them toward more aggressive capital allocation strategies. The firm's investment comes at a time when Phillips 66 has faced challenges related to fluctuating oil prices and shifts in energy consumption trends. Analysts suggest that Elliott's involvement could prompt a re-evaluation of the company's strategic priorities, potentially leading to asset sales or changes in management. We believe that Phillips 66 has significant untapped potential, said a spokesperson for Elliott Management. Our goal is to work collaboratively with the board and management to unlock that value for all shareholders. This statement reflects the activist firm's typical approach of engaging with management while advocating for changes that could enhance profitability and share price. The energy sector is currently navigating a complex landscape characterized by a transition toward renewable energy sources and increasing regulatory pressures. Phillips 66, primarily involved in refining and midstream operations, has felt the impacts of these shifts. Elliott's investment may push the company to accelerate its adaptation to these changes, possibly exploring alternative energy projects or divesting from less profitable segments. In a related development, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell indicated that the central bank does not feel an immediate need to rush into rate cuts despite pressures stemming from inflation and market volatility. Powell's remarks suggest a cautious approach, emphasizing the importance of assessing economic data before making significant monetary policy shifts. This stance could also influence investor sentiment in the energy market, where financing and interest rates play a crucial role in corporate strategy. As the market continues to evolve, the impending demographic shift with aging baby boomers is expected to rekindle interest in the senior housing market. This demographic transformation represents a burgeoning opportunity for real estate developers and investors alike. The anticipated increase in demand for senior housing solutions could create a ripple effect across related sectors, including healthcare and community services. Lastly, in a noteworthy development in the technology landscape, a group led by Elon Musk has made a staggering $97.4 billion bid for control of OpenAI. This proposal has sparked discussions about the future direction of artificial intelligence and its governance. The bid highlights the intense competition in the tech industry to secure control over cutting-edge technologies, which are increasingly seen as vital for economic growth and innovation. As these dynamics unfold, the intersection of activism and corporate governance, monetary policy decisions, demographic shifts, and pioneering technological advancements will undoubtedly shape the future landscape of various industries. Investors, companies, and analysts alike will be closely monitoring these developments, each vying to position themselves advantageously in an ever-evolving market. The coming months are likely to reveal further implications of these trends as stakeholders adapt to the new realities of the economic landscape. In a significant shift within corporate America, Deloitte US has mandated the removal of gender pronouns from email signatures of employees working on government contracts, while simultaneously abandoning its diversity and inclusion initiatives. This move, which reflects the changing political landscape following Donald Trump's return to the White House, underscores a broader trend among companies re-evaluating their diversity policies in light of new government directives. The decision was communicated to consultants in Deloitte's U.S. government and public services practice, which employs approximately 15,000 staff. According to sources familiar with the situation, this policy change is intended to align with emerging government client practices and requirements. An internal email revealed that Deloitte US would also be sunsetting its annual diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) goals alongside the associated reporting and programming. This announcement aligns Deloitte with recent actions taken by other major firms like Accenture, which also dismantled its global diversity objectives amidst the evolving political climate. Trump's administration has made it clear that it seeks to eliminate references to gender ideology from federal communications, emphasizing a binary understanding of gender. Although these directives do not explicitly bind private companies, they create an environment where compliance becomes essential for government contractors. In sharp contrast, Deloitte UK has reaffirmed its commitment to diversity, with senior partner Richard Houston stating in an internal memo that diversity remains a priority despite the US firm's strategic pivot. He emphasized that the UK arm would continue to uphold its diversity goals and reporting. This divergence illustrates the increasingly fragmented approach to diversity initiatives within multinational companies, reflecting varying regional attitudes and legal requirements. While Deloitte US's new policy suggests a retreat from progressive diversity practices, the firm insists that it will maintain some inclusive initiatives, including Heritage Month celebrations and internal ethnic networks. They have assured staff that everyone is welcome at Deloitte, highlighting a commitment to a non-discriminatory hiring process. The ramifications of these developments extend beyond corporate culture, they signal a potential shift in the landscape of workplace diversity across the U.S. As firms adapt to the political climate, the effectiveness and sustainability of diversity initiatives may come under scrutiny. Critics argue that such reversals could hinder progress toward equality and inclusivity, ultimately stifling innovation and employee morale. As the situation evolves, companies will need to navigate a complex web of compliance with government policies while balancing their internal values and commitments to diversity. The coming months could see further adjustments as businesses react to both public sentiment and political realities. The divergence between Deloitte US and UK may serve as a bellwether for other firms grappling with similar challenges, raising critical questions about the future of workplace diversity in an increasingly polarized environment. In a pivotal moment for Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky has underscored the critical role of U.S. support in ensuring the country's security amidst ongoing geopolitical tensions. In an exclusive interview with The Guardian, Zelensky warned that Europe alone cannot guarantee Ukraine's safety without the backing of the United States, especially as the nation braces for a potentially transformative diplomatic engagement with former President Donald Trump. Zelensky's comments come at a crucial time as he prepares for a visit to the Munich Security Conference, where he hopes to interact with key figures in Trump's administration and potentially secure a meeting with the former president himself. There are voices which say that Europe could offer security guarantees without the Americans, and I always say no. Zelensky stated emphatically. Security guarantees without America are not real security guarantees. This assertion reflects the deep-seated reliance of Ukraine on U.S. military and financial support, particularly as the conflict with Russia continues to evolve. With Trump signaling a desire to negotiate an end to the conflict, skepticism lingers regarding the feasibility of a U.S. brokered agreement that might pressure Ukraine to concede to Russian demands. Zelensky, however, remains focused on negotiating from a position of strength. He intends to entice U.S. firms with lucrative reconstruction contracts, aiming to align American economic interests with Ukraine's rebuilding efforts post-war. Those who are helping us to save Ukraine will have the chance to renovate it, he explained, emphasizing the dual goals of security and economic partnership. As Trump prepares to engage with Zelensky, the dynamics of U.S. foreign policy are poised for potential shifts. Trump's recent statements indicate a desire to prioritize American interests in any deal, including potential access to Ukraine's rich natural resources such as its vast reserves of uranium and titanium. Zelensky highlighted this point, cautioning that it is not in the U.S. interest for these resources to fall into Russian hands, especially considering their potential alliances with countries like North Korea, China, and Iran. The Ukrainian president's strategic approach involves not only military considerations but also financial incentives for American businesses, which he believes could foster a more favorable attitude from Trump. "We are talking not only about security but also about money," he said, outlining how partnerships with U.S. companies could create jobs in Ukraine while offering profits to American investors. However, the landscape remains fraught with uncertainty. Trump's administration has so far presented mixed signals regarding its commitment to Ukraine. While Zelensky has expressed gratitude for continued military aid, he is acutely aware that historical precedents of U.S. support have been inconsistent. The recent freeze on USAID projects under Trump raised alarms in Ukraine, illustrating the precariousness of relying on American political goodwill. As Zelensky prepares to navigate these complex waters, he acknowledges the importance of European support but firmly believes that it cannot substitute for U.S. involvement. He pointed to the necessity of advanced military systems such as the U.S.-made Patriot air defense systems, which he argued are essential for Ukraine's defense capabilities. "Only Patriots can defend us against all kinds of missiles," he reiterated, underscoring that without U.S. military technology, Ukraine's security guarantees would be fundamentally lacking. Looking ahead, Zelensky's diplomatic maneuvers will be closely watched, particularly as he attempts to balance the demands of engaging a potentially skeptical Trump administration while maintaining the trust and support of European allies. The outcome of his meetings in Munich could significantly impact the future trajectory of U.S.-Ukraine relations and ultimately the fate of Ukraine in its ongoing struggle for sovereignty and security against Russian aggression. As these discussions unfold, the international community remains on alert, aware that the balance of power in Eastern Europe hangs in the balance. As Pennsylvania grapples with fiscal challenges and the potential for economic revitalization. The call for the legalization of recreational marijuana has become increasingly urgent. Governor Josh Shapiro's repeated appeals to the state legislature to pass laws facilitating legal cannabis sales underscore a growing recognition of the financial benefits that come with such legislation. With neighboring states already reaping the rewards of legalized marijuana, Pennsylvania risks falling behind at a time when it desperately needs new revenue streams. The urgency of the situation is palpable. Shapiro estimates that implementing a 20% tax on wholesale cannabis could generate over $530 million in the first year alone and up to $1.3 billion within 5 years. These figures are not mere projections, they mirror the successes of other states that have taken similar steps. For instance, New York recently reported over $1 billion in cannabis sales just 4 years post-legalization, while California's cannabis revenue topped $1 billion in 2023. States like Illinois and Michigan have also reported significant tax revenues, demonstrating that the financial incentive for legalization is both real and substantial. However, the road to legalization in Pennsylvania is fraught with political hurdles. Despite Shapiro's advocacy, skepticism remains among Republican lawmakers, many of whom express concerns about public safety. Senate President pro tempore Kim Ward articulated this sentiment, suggesting that the governor must take a more active role in shaping the proposal rather than passing the responsibility to the legislature. If he wants something done, he needs to lead on it, she stated, pointing to a perceived lack of commitment from the executive office. This cautious approach contrasts sharply with the experiences of states that have legalized marijuana without significant negative repercussions. Notably, none of these states have experienced a rollback in their laws due to unforeseen consequences. This fact raises questions about the motivations behind the hesitance of Pennsylvania lawmakers to embrace a lucrative economic opportunity that has proven beneficial elsewhere. Moreover, the potential revenue from legalized marijuana comes at a critical juncture for Pennsylvania. As budget reserves dwindle and looming federal cuts threaten essential services like education and infrastructure, the necessity for innovative revenue solutions becomes increasingly clear. The state cannot afford to ignore the financial windfall that legalized cannabis promises, especially when it is already being capitalized upon by neighboring states. Shapiro's leadership on this issue could not only bolster Pennsylvania's financial standing but also serve as a pivotal point in his political career, especially as he eyes future electoral aspirations. By taking a firm stance on cannabis legalization, he could challenge lawmakers to justify their reluctance to act, potentially reshaping the legislative landscape in Pennsylvania. In conclusion, the time has come for Pennsylvania to prioritize the legalization of recreational marijuana. With financial benefits on the table and a pressing need for economic revitalization, the state's government must act decisively. As the political landscape evolves, it will be crucial to watch how Shapiro leverages this opportunity to not only benefit the state's economy but also to position himself as a forward-thinking leader willing to embrace change for the greater good.